Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Michael Show. I'm Michael Tran, and while President Trump is gaining more victories from Davos, from the World Economic Forum, it is so embarrassing for Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. He wanted there, got mocked by President Trump, got canceled for one of his talking show, and he just bragged about how he gonna fight against the president. His heart is not for California right now. He is focusing on running for president in 2028. He doesn't care California. But for all of us, especially my beloved audience in California, it's time for a change. He will be term limited. He will step back. But we have to vote for a Republican to change the court and to save California and make it great again. I sent a formal invitation for an interview to many Republican candidates, and I have a chance to interview one of them. And today, I'm pretty sure that you will enjoy the show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show Mr. Steve Hilton, Republican candidate for governor of California. Mr. Hilton, thank you and welcome to the show.
Of course, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hilton. Normally, I would start the show with the question about a brief introduction of the candidate, but we know you already. And actually, I have many calls from my audience to have you on my show. So I will skip that, and we will jump to the first question. Like, why do you decide to run for California governor?
Mhm. Well, I love this state so much. It's the most beautiful, amazing place in the world, as far as I'm concerned, and it's being ruined by the Democrats who've been in power now for 16 years, one-party rule, and I think it all goes back to my family, because some people watching and listening may not know is that my parents. I've got the British accent, and I was born in the UK and moved here with my wife and my two sons in 2012. Became an American in 2021. That's one of the proudest days of my life, to become a US citizen. I've renounced my UK citizenship, so I'm all in for America and for California. But my parents, they're Hungarian, and my stepfather is Hungarian. Everyone in my family is Hungarian, and they fled communism in Hungary. They fled the communist regime. In 1956, the Soviets, communists invaded Hungary, and my parents, they left. And so I was born in a free country, but all the rest of my family was behind the Iron Curtain in communist regime. And so for me, freedom is so precious. I really understand the sacrifices people make when they're searching for freedom. And I've always believed in California as the ultimate home of freedom, where you can come here, you can build your life, follow your dreams, whatever you want to do, raise your family, build a business, all of those things. And we used to be able to offer that opportunity in California better than anywhere else in the world, better than anywhere else on planet Earth. And as the years have gone by with these Democrats, they've been crushing that sense of freedom and opportunity in California with the taxes, the regulations, the bureaucracy, the unbelievable failure on everything. We're the most expensive state, the highest cost for gas, electric, rent, insurance, everything, the most expensive, the highest taxes, worst climate for business. I was a small business owner. Most of people know me from the television, as you mentioned. Most of my career actually been in business, including small business. In England, I ran companies, I started businesses, including a restaurants. Restaurant business is really tough. It's very difficult to make money. And so I understand how hard it is for small businesses in California struggling with all these things. So it makes me so angry to see what they've done to our beautiful state of California. And so as the years went by, I was on TV talking about the problems, talking that I don't want to do talking anymore. I want to get back to doing things, to actually making the change happen. And that's why I'm running for governor.
Thank you, sir. Indeed, your story, your background is very amazing, and I can say that the Vietnamese community, they are so related to what you said. because
Yes.
we might have the same background of fleeing home country and become American. And do you have any problems when people say that, oh, you're not American born, you're British American? Do you have any like encounters like that?
No, not really. I mean, maybe one or two people online, but no. It's very, very strong love I feel from everybody, especially when I do my events. I do events all around California. I do town halls. I do Republican events, everything, and I say all the time, I'm so proud to be an American. You get a big, big cheer when you say that. And the other thing I say, everyone's very so, and they love people, and I find this, who come to America and love America and want to protect and improve the things that make America special and great, and not to attack America and undermine America. So I have a very strong feeling that if you are lucky enough to become an American and to be a guest in this country, you have to love this country even more than the people who are born here. That's your responsibility, and that is how I feel. The other thing I say is that I'm the candidate of the legal immigrant community for the legal immigrant community. I understand very deeply, because that was our story, what it's like to grow up in a country, immigrant parents, work hard. We were working class, didn't have a lot of money, but you climbed the ladder of opportunity. You work hard, you try to get ahead. I understand that so deeply because that was our story. And I want to have that American dream, the California dream, available to every one of our legal immigrants in California. And so that's how I feel very strongly about it. And I get a very positive reaction.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And I think we should remind those people that the last Republican governor of California was not born in the United States.
Right.
Yeah, Governor
Exactly.
Schwarzenegger. Yes,
And he had an accent as well.
yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah. So they should remember that, and that is how great America is. Everybody can come,
Exactly.
contribute, and thrive, and pay back to America.
Yes.
Yeah, and Mr. Hilton, when we talk about California, we have so many problems with the Democrat regime. I can say the regime, then, especially
Exactly right.
8 years of Newsom. So it would be a mess if I asked you, like, what would you do? Because you have so many things to do to fix California. But what would be your priority, and how can you work with the Democrats in Sacramento?
Yes.
Because even if you win, it is very unlikely that we're gonna have like a Republican majority in the state legislature. So
Yes.
what would you do to deal with
You're
them?
right. But the first point is to say, when I'm the governor and I'm elected, that will be a political revolution in California.
Yes.
And I will expect the legislature to work with me to make it happen, to implement the will of the people, and not undermine the election. Now that would be my attitude. We'll see if they cooperate. But if they don't cooperate, here's the facts. As the governor, you run the executive branch. You control the state agencies, hundreds of different state agencies and bureaucracies. And when you talk to business owners, when you talk to families, and you really learn where is the pain coming from, the struggle, the bureaucracy, the taxes, the fees, inspections, permits, headache, paperwork, all this stuff, the costs, it's coming from these agencies. And so as governor, even without the legislature, you can fire the people who are causing the problems. You can replace them with common sense people who will help families and help businesses.
Thank you, sir. And I know that the Vietnamese community, they also, majority of them are small business owners, entrepreneurs, because they
Yes.
believe in independent and financial freedom. So what would you do to help the small business with the tax, with the regulations, and
Yes.
to help the young families to settle their lives? Because there are so many couples. I know many couples who are my friends. They fled California to Texas because they couldn't
Yes.
buy a house. They couldn't find work. They could not find a good benefit or accommodation for their children. So what would you do to fix that
So
problem?
there's two things. So for small businesses, we are going to have a rule that as men to exempt small businesses from all of these regulations, because it's crazy. You cannot have small businesses with the amount of paperwork that they have to deal with. That's number one. Number two, we have to reduce energy cost, because for small business, a big part of the cost, if you're in a restaurant, it's gas, electric. If you're you're moving things around with the truck, the gas prices are making it so expensive. If you're builder, construction, or anything like this, and so we're going to end the Democrats' climate crusade. So we use California oil. We drill for California oil. We have abundant oil reserves instead of importing it from halfway around the world. Instead of windmills and solar panels, which are unreliable and expensive, we're going to use California natural gas to generate electricity that's cheaper, more affordable. So we bring down energy costs. The third one is we help with the labor regulations. If you employ people, I'll give you an example. One of the most damaging things for small business and every kind of business, but especially if you're operating something like a farm or construction or hospitality, bar, restaurant, anything like this, hotel, you have these terrible lawsuits all the time. They're called PAGA lawsuits, Private Attorney General Act, and it's complete scam. And lawyers are pushing this, funded by the Democrats, and I will put a stop to it. It's extortion. If you talk to any business, they will tell you about these lawsuits. For some tiny fake violation of labor law standards. That's going to end when I'm governor. We're going to stop the PAGA lawsuits.
Yeah, thank you, sir. And if you're the governor, and California under Newsom is very confronting the Trump administration for like almost everything, especially in immigration law enforcement. Will you work with the Trump administration or the federal government to fix that problem, like to
100%.
to deport illegals?
It's going to be one of the big things I say why I'm a strong candidate is that I have the business experience, the government reform experience. I previously worked in the UK as senior advisor to the Prime Minister, to David Cameron, my office in 10 Downing Street, right next to the cabinet room. And so I have that experience, but also I have close relationships with the president, with half the cabinet. They are friends. And so we're going to be working together. And that means I can get a better outcome, a better deal for California. And specifically on immigration, I agree. We need to enforce our immigration laws. These sanctuary policies are terrible. It's unconstitutional. And so we're going to make sure that we work with the federal immigration enforcement and to enforce the law, because that's what has to happen in a country built on the rule of law. It's not enough you can't just pass laws and then not enforce them. We're going to enforce the law.
Thank you, sir. And you said that you had a good relationship with President Trump and the Trump team. So do you expect President Trump's involvement in your race? Like he's going to endorse you?
We'll see. He's busy. He's got a lot going on, and so I haven't asked him for anything. But we'll see. I mean, I think it's a bit early, honestly, to talk about that.
Yeah, thank you. And right now, we have many candidates, and California and my audience know that we have the jungle primary system. So, but for Democrats, they have more like big names running than in the Republican side, and some Democrats, they are afraid of a scenario that they're going to split the votes and they're going to have the two Republicans end up winning the primary. So do you expect that scenario to come and
no,
just run like as usual?
I understand that some Republicans are excited about that prospect, and so I get it. It would be interesting and amazing to see that, but it's a fantasy. It's not going to happen. There's no way that the Democrat Party is going to allow that situation. They're not going to just give up California, their crown jewel, the biggest state, the one they assume they will run forever. No, they will make sure, if it looks like that situation is going to happen, they will get together. And you remember, you've got the unions, a huge amount of money. You've got all these left-wing donors like George Soros. You've got all these people, and they will make sure that they get behind one candidate. And so we, on our side, have to get behind one candidate. That's what's very, very important. We have to get behind the strongest candidate to take on the Democrats and win in the general election. And I'm saying very clearly and strongly, I'm the strongest candidate because I have the business experience, the government reform experience, the media platform and the media experience, the relationships at the highest level of the administration. So for all those reasons, I think I'm the guy that can beat the Democrats in November.
Yeah, thank you. And about speaking about the reform, and we are seeing the administration investigating California regarding the frauds.
Yes.
Yeah. So do you commit to also do it to Doge if
Well,
you
we
are in
are
the
doing
government
it.
mansion?
We are
Oh,
doing it.
that's
So
great.
let me explain what we've been doing. So last year, when we first saw the stories of the fraud in Minnesota, I set up, and I said at the time, you can be sure, however bad the fraud is in Tim Walz's Minnesota, it's 1,000 times worse in Gavin Newsom's California. So I set about, there you are, you can see the picture, doing an investigation into fraud in California. So so one of the things I'm doing in this campaign is I'm doing things very differently. I know we'll talk about that in a second. I'm putting together a team to turn around California, a very strong, experienced, qualified team in all the key positions. One of those is a guy called Herb Morgan, who's running with me for state controller. State controller is a very important position because they have the power to audit every organization receiving state money and then to stop the money if there's fraud. So Herb and we set up last December a whistleblower hotline. It's called califraud.com. Califraud.com. And then we looked at all the tips, the whistleblowers, and we looked at the information that we were receiving. We looked at the budgets. We looked at the published fraud we've already seen, like 24 billion in homelessness spending and so on, 55 billion in the lockdowns for the employment department. And we made our own estimate of how much fraud really is in California. And the basic lowest estimate that we've come up with, and we're going to be doing more work to get the real answer, $250 billion. So that's what you see there, Califraudia.
Yes.
That was what we published a couple of weeks ago. The next step, exactly as you say, is how are we going to stop the fraud? And that's what I'll be announcing next week, a new team of people who are going to help us investigate and find and stop the fraud. So you are absolutely right, and that is part of my campaign, putting in place the pieces so we can really do a good job and be ready on day one with the people and the plans to make the change happen.
Yeah, thank you. Because like when the Minnesota scandal falls out, my audience said that California must be more than that.
Much
Maybe
worse. Well, we've
at
got the
least 10
number.
times.
Exactly.
Yes, 250. Yes, and so if you run on that platform, you will get more votes. But
Yes.
we have to be honest that in California, it's an uphill battle for a Republican to win because of the voter registration and also the voter roll. So do you have any idea of first help clean the voter roll to
Yes.
to avoid election frauds, and number two, get the independents on board, like the the
Yes.
Maha people, Maha moms, Mama bears. They are not like political affiliated, but they would like to vote for anyone who can help them. Do you have any
I
plans to
completely
get them?
agree. So that's all exactly right. The voter rolls are being cleaned up, and there's people working on that. We've had, just I think in the last year, 2.5 million wrong people who shouldn't be on the voter rolls removed, and I think that work is going to continue. Secondly, you're right, the Maha movement is very powerful. I've been a strong supporter. I wrote a book in 2015, so more than 10 years ago, called More Human, Designing a World Where People Come First. And if you look at the chapter in that book on health and the chapter on food, basically you see the Maha agenda laid out more than 10 years ago. So this is something I feel very strongly about, and you're going to be seeing that in the campaign as we move forward.
Yeah, thank you. Because as we saw in 2024, President Trump got a lot of independents and Maha moms from California to support him. We can say like Nicole
Yes.
Shanahan or Allison Huynh, who is also the Vietnamese. They're former Democrats, and then they decided to vote for President Trump and
Yes,
join
well,
the
I
Maha
know
movement.
Alison. Yes, she's
Yes,
great.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, I hope that you can get she can help
I
you
know
more in
both of
that.
them. I know
Oh,
Nicole and Alison. We
that's
both live
awesome.
in the Bay Area. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
awesome. That's awesome. Thank you, sir. And a final word from that. If you have anything to say with the Vietnamese community and to gain the votes, what would you say to them?
Well, I just feel so strongly that the Vietnamese community is such an important part of our state and just wonderful people. I spent a wonderful day with the Vietnamese National Day ceremony in San Jose last year, and I was very proud to be there. So as a lady made me a beautiful woolen scarf with the Vietnamese colors that which actually very similar to the California, the gold color, that yellow, strong yellow color. And so I was very, very proud to be there to support the community. And I support the community very strongly. But here's the way I think about it. The things that we need to do to help the Vietnamese community thrive and flourish, it's actually what we need to do for the whole state. It's what you were saying right at the beginning. The entrepreneurs and the small business owners and people who care about faith and family and decency and a good life and the simple California dream, where you have a good job or a good business that pays enough for you to buy a home of your own in a safe neighborhood with a good school, so your kids have a better life than you. That's it. That's what I'm running for. That's how we make California golden again.
Thank you, sir. And if my audience want to support you, where can they
Thank you
get in
very
touch
much.
with you? Yeah.
SteveHiltonforGovernor.com, FOR, SteveHiltonforGovernor.com. And we really, really need the support. We need volunteers. We're building a grassroots army. We got to beat the Democrat machine. We've really got to, they've got the unions, the activists, all these non-profits. We've got to build our own army. Then we can take back our beautiful state and save California. SteveHiltonforGovernor.com.
Yeah, and you also mentioned the union, and
Yes.
they are pressuring Newsom to pass the wealth tax, and
Yes.
many billionaires said that they're gonna flee California because of that,
Yeah, we
and
got to stop
California may
that. That's
lose
crazy.
$1 trillion,
Exactly.
$1 trillion loss for California. So
Yes.
yeah, Mr. Hilton, thank you very much for your
Thank you
time,
very much.
and I hope that the Vietnamese community uh, will
Thank you.
mobilize and get behind your back, and we're gonna have like an earthquake, a political earthquake,
That's it.
and political
Exactly.
revolution to California, because they are
I love
fed
it.
up with that. They're so fed up with that. You know, 10 years ago, they were still enjoying their life, and because of President Trump, they started realizing things, and now they want to make a change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. It's wonderful to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I wish you all the best to your campaign, to your running mates, to your team, and to California. Thank
Yes.
you, sir.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching the show. I hope you enjoy the show. And again, please get on SteveHiltonforGovernor.com to support Mr. Hilton, and let us save California, fix California, and make it great again. Thank you.